In this video, we are going to learn how we can work with files in Linux. So if you are watching this series, you can go back and watch how to install and set up Linux system. But if you just want to learn about working with the files, and you can continue watching it, and how we are going to use, we can use the Linux playground. If you have not any setup in your system, you can use Linux playground, or you can use your own virtual machine, or you can use your terminal. If you're using Mac, if you have installed the Linux in your Mac, you can use it. So let's jump into how we can work with the Linux file system. I'm going to open my terminal, and this time we can use AWS. So as I told in our first video that we will also utilize and how we can use an SSH to the server, and we can utilize a virtual server to do some stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have EC2 instance. I can launch an instance, and we can give name DevOps. We can continue with the Linux or Ubuntu. So we can choose Ubuntu as well. Ubuntu is also based on Linux, and we can use, because we are just going to learn the practice, we can use a T3 micro, which is a free tier eligible. And then we have to create a key pair, which will help us to do SSH. So we will also learn how to do the SSH. So DevOps by move, and we can create the file. So the PIM file is downloaded, will be used when we have to do the SSH. And allow the SSH traffic. You can use my IP for the security purpose. When you are working with production or client projects, make sure you have to select this my IP for the security purpose. But I'm going to do this for the practice session, and then we have to delete it. Then it's okay. I'm going to use allow traffic from anywhere, like from any computer, any terminal. You can do the SSH if you have the SSH key, and if you have the proper right IP address. So let's, by the way, we don't need these two things, but let's, and about the storage, we can start with the 8 GB as well. The reason is we cannot, we are not going to have the heavy stuff, but what I will do, I will just set up the 20 GB at least. And then file system, we can just keep none and just launch instance. So we are now going to set up a virtual machine on AWS. If you think you, because to create an account on AWS, if you're a student, you don't have a credit card, or where you can create account, because this is a mandatory to, you can attach your card. But if you don't have, don't worry about it. That is why we have our Linux playground on DevOps by Move website. You can just play the stuff and just refresh and start the Linux playground, and you can practice here as well. And if you want to also install, you can watch how to install Linux on Windows or Mac in our series. There's a video. So now we can see our instance is installed and it is being initialized. So when it will be ready, we are going to go and SSH. So you can do, after 1 minute, you can do a refresh. When it is available, what you will do, you have to connect, click on connect button. There's a multiple ways to connect. You can connect directly on AWS as well. But I think as we are learning Linux, why not? We have to do the command. So you have to click on SSH client, and then you can see that there are some commands. So number 3, you can see this. We will first of all execute this command. But one thing too, we have to make sure where my PIM file is. From that folder, we will execute this. So I'm just copying and going in my terminal, and we go here, and I will just, what I have to do, I have to exit. And now I'm in my MacBook terminal. So imagine if I run this command, it will not work, because when I downloaded this PIM file, I have to make sure I'm in the right directory. So you can also check where you have installed this. That is the point. So what I'm going to do, I have downloaded into my downloads folder. So what I will do, I will first of all go into my downloads folder, and then when I will run this command, it will be executed because my file is there. And the next command is simple. If I just go into AWS, you can see example, where it is going to use this PEM file and user as a Ubuntu user, and this is the IP address, and then the region, and this is a proper command, and just copy it and then just paste it. So what happens here? Yes, you have to connect. No, you are into a virtual server, virtual machine. It is a Ubuntu machine based on Linux. So no, we are using a virtual machine. That is what we have learned something new. So now we are ready to dive into how we can work with the files. That is the important thing that we are learning. We are going to create a file, and I will say, I will use a command touch notes, notes.txt. So we are going to create a file. File is now created. File is available, but there's nothing in this file. So because we are now working with the file, so we have to work with this file, and we can see how we can edit it. So what I did, I just have the nano command, nano, nano, and the file name. So it has taken into this file, and we can now add the text into the file, and we can see some controls here. So what I will do, I will just add some text into this file. Keep learning Linux. Okay, this is our first line. So if I go into the second line, I can say DevOps by move, and I will be at the top in DevOps. Okay, so we have added 3 lines, and we can add some numbers. No, at then we can say keep learning, because at the end you have to keep growing. Authenticity is very important. When you are learning, don't just use AI, because in the big companies, when you do interviews or use stuff, so make sure you have a core concepts clear. You have to don't rely on the AI all the time. If you will keep learning these things, doing this stuff, you will have the strong fundamentals to answer quickly if someone asks you, instead of relying on AI. So this will make you, difference. If there is a big, competition, so you will stand up. So we have no file is ready. What we have to do? We have to now save it. You have to click on Control X. So it will say you have to modify. You can say Control. Okay, yes. So then you have to append it. Okay. So then the file will be saved. So you have to just a little bit play around with this, your keyboard, and just use these commands. Those are mentioned in the bottom, and you will be able to save it. You can amend it, you can save it, and then you can exit without saving it. So this is how we have changed this file, because we are playing with the file system. No, the thing is that how we can read this file. Imagine that we have to print this file in the terminal. What we have to do, that is where concat, we can say cat concatenate, like print a file. So as our file is at the root directory, we can simply say notes.txt, and we can see here the file is printed. And the interesting thing is, like if the file is bigger, let's imagine we have file which has 500 lines, and if we want to see the bottom of the file or the top of the file, then how we can, just modify the command, and then we can execute it. For this, what we are going to do, imagine we have to read, this is a command, and we can use tail, and I can use nodes. As our file is very small, what we can do, we want to read our last 5 lines. Okay, so now what happens, that we are able to, from the tail, it is showing us last 5 lines. There's 2 empty lines and 3 lines there. So total 5 lines are printed. So we have used the command tail. So we can play with the file to, whatever the content we want to extract. And similarly, if we have to make some change into this command, imagine if I say I want to read from the top 5 lines, what we have to do? Because these commands are mostly helpful, when we are reading the logs from your system, when your applications are running and you have thousands of lines, but you want to read from some particular part, then these commands are useful. So what it is doing, it is reading the first 5 lines from the top. This is how we have to do. And if we have to overwrite a file, or we have to maybe append something to the file, what we can do? Imagine we have this command, and let's understand echo, okay, this is something to print, or echo deploy done. Okay, let's just we cut this whole command and we can say echo is like doing to print, like in the Python or some coding, we use print and brackets and then we just, whatever we want to print from the terminal, we just did this. But when we have this command where we have two greater than, we have append, this is a sign of the append into this file. It is going to append this text into this file. Imagine if the file is already there, it will just simply add it. But if the file is not there, what it will do? It will just create the file and append it. So let's do one thing here. We can see the file is there. How to read it? It's very simple. We know that we can use the command cat and we can use deploy.log. And what it will do, it will just print it. So now we have got this as well. Next, we are going to learn another command which is interesting, which is a grep. What? It will do the search and find out what we are looking for. Let's understand grep is doing to do the searching. And what is -i? It's mean any upper or lower case, the word error or any word in the particular file. Let's search if this word, if something is available in this file. Sometimes imagine you have a log file, you have your backend application where you are tracking all the logs. Maybe you're tracking IP addresses or you are tracking the records of the request. And if you have to see in that file, if any user's data or something you want to search out, you can particularly enter this text. You can enter any email or something you want to find and see if something is there into the log or not. You can use this practice. So we have this file which is a notes.txt already. What we are going to do, we have to just mention the file notes, because we are at the root directory. We don't need to complex. We just mention the file name, and in this file, if we say, it says nothing is there. If we say the word which is Linux, because Linux is available into the first line, and you can see keep learning Linux, so it was in the first line. That is why it has founded this word into this file. And let's see. So this is how we can work with the files, and on the GitHub you can know we have everything available. So when you will look into the list Linux GitHub repo, which is available in this video description, so you can see all these commands available here and you can practice this. And let me know if you have any questions. Ask me in the comments and I will be helping you out. So just keep learning Linux, keep learning DevOps. And in this channel, you will see all the series, Linux, GitHub, Docker, everything, all the concepts and hands-on projects, production level projects you will be learning. So this was all about working with the files. In the next video, we are going to learn about how we can process the text in the Linux. So see you in my next video.